Okay. Good morning, chiropractic family. It's Charlie with, let me get my face out of here, Mountain Man Digital. And I am excited to tell you guys that I successfully completed the Polar Bear 8-hour ice race this weekend. So if any of you were trying to get in touch with me, basically from Thursday on, I was basically unavailable because I was either preparing, traveling for, setting up, or doing the Polar Bear 8-hour ice race. And I don't know, I wanted to talk about that today because that race was what I called my cure for seasonal depression. As you guys know, I work from home. This is my home office. And I live in the Northeast, so winters are long, they're dark, and if you don't go outside, even though it's cold and wet and snowy, it's really easy to get depressed because you don't have enough vitamin D and you just don't feel good. So I signed up for this race for really two main reasons. Number one, because it was the hardest thing I'd ever done insofar as the training, the preparation insofar as gear and food and everything else, and just the mental toughness of doing it. I'll get into that more. And number two, I did it because I wanted to have a reason to get forced out the door every day to go run in the snow. And so at least 2 or 3 times a week all winter, I would go outside and I would run the trails while they were covered in snow and just get better for the race. And that was the game changer for me, because I got outside, I was active, and it made me feel a lot better. And no, this doesn't have a lot to do with marketing today, but hey, this is important to me. I'm sharing it with you guys. If you'd like to listen, feel free. If not, you can always just scroll on by. And with the preparation of the Polar Bear race, I'll tell you a little bit about the race. So it's set in Benson, Vermont, which is milk cow country for Vermont. Vermont produces a lot of milk. So north central Vermont is where Benson is. It's I think only about an hour and a half away from Canada. And what we did, or when we went up there, we learned about the track and everything else. And it is a 10-mile track, and there are 50 different obstacles, and the average temperature that day during the race was, I think, like 2 degrees, not Celsius, Fahrenheit. The temperature at the starting line was -8, so it was incredibly, incredibly cold, and it was also incredibly difficult to get warmed up, to get ready, and all of that was such an amazing challenge. Like for the first couple months, I was basically, as I was training, trying out different iterations of gear. Do these wool socks in my shoes work? What about this? What about that? And like really figuring stuff out. That went really well for me. The biggest problem that I had was that I didn't do any pull-ups, climbing or grip work outside in the cold. I was doing pull-ups at home. I think you guys can see my pull-up bar in the frame here. I would hang it to my door frame over here and do pull-ups throughout the day. But doing grip work, holding on to stuff, climbing stuff, etc., while outside when it's that frigid, your grip strength just goes away so fast. Like I did, a rope shimmy just across this gully, right? And after I did that, it was like the first grip-based obstacle. My grip strength was shot. I had a terrible time climbing walls, scaling walls, anything that involved holding on. And so that was just crazy. And then the entire course wasn't plowed, wasn't shoveled, wasn't groomed. It was just a foot of snow, and you just run through that. So it was very, very intense. And I'm proud to say that I successfully completed the race. and looking forward to doing more stuff like that. So that's really all I wanted to touch on with you guys today, because challenging yourself, I think, number one, is a really great way just to make sure you're growing as a person. And number two, challenging yourself is a really great way to have more stuff to talk about on social media, right? I know that there's plenty of people out there who probably watched me a few times or follow along fairly often, but if I'm not doing anything interesting except telling you about why you need SEO and how content creation is important and how to do Facebook ads, you aren't going to follow along that long. It's not what you're particularly interested in. So things like this in your life are so important. One, because they feed your soul. Let's be honest. And number two, they're so important because it gives you more stuff to talk about. I have a bunch of pictures, a lot of fun stories, and I'm going to be putting out a blog post about that race probably next week. So keep an eye out for that. It'll obviously be on all my socials so that you guys can find it. But go out and do something challenging this week. Feed your soul. See how it feels, see what happens. That's all I got for you today, guys. I hope you have a great one, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.